Hi there, everyone. It is currently the 8th of April, 2015. Meteorologist Robert Speta here with you today. I know we haven't done a video update in a few days here at westernpacificweather.com. One of the main reasons is the tropics have calmed down quite considerably compared to what we were seeing last week. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the northern areas here today because across Japan, we have been seeing widespread rain showers, even that threat of thunderstorms, but also snowfall around the Kanto area. When I'm talking about Kanto, I'm talking about the greater Tokyo area. We got Tokyo, but then I'm talking about Chiba, Kanagawa, Saitama prefectures just off there towards north, even Gifu as well. And that's that area around it. Still kind of considered the city of Tokyo. It's just absolutely massive. And what we've seen today was some snowfall. So I'm starting off with this image here so you can kind of get an idea of where this is taking place. But what we're going to be looking at is basically this storm system continuing to push overhead. It's along a stationary boundary that really is separating these two air masses. We have basically a Siberian high that sets up the northeast monsoon, starting to retreat back towards the north, and down here towards the south, the Westpac high. Remember we were talking about the Westpac high last week? That area of high pressure that basically extends off here towards the west, and that's the reason why my sock was running on the western track. It was running along the southern periphery of this high. And if we had a storm system, for example, it's hypothetical, if a storm system formed up right in here, it would follow along the southern periphery of that high. Well, between these two air masses off towards the north, we get that rainy season front. It's not quite the rainy season front, but by all intents and purposes, same dynamics that sets up, and that brings this, well, basically moderate to heavy rainfall across parts of China and over through Japan. Now, what we also seen was a little bit of a low setup here just off the Kanto area, pulled in that cold air. During the overnight hours, temperatures were at their warmest in Tokyo, Japan today, actually around 10 degrees, but by early morning it dropped near the freezing point. I love this photo. I used this on NHK World today. Probably shouldn't be using it again here on my webcast, but if you want to watch, just watch me on NHK World all day. Also, Jonathan O was on there in the evening, and what this shows you is basically that contrast between winter and spring here, because this is snow on top of some of these petals here, and you have the sakura, the cherry blossoms, which are in full bloom in some of these areas, and it just kind of goes to show that difference between these two air masses. We're getting in the spring, but the big thing about spring, you get that big swings between spring and summer and winter here. And this is another good example. You have that air mass, that warmer air down here towards the south, that stationary boundary, and the colder air mass trying to invade, and it just lingers here. And that's really going to be the case through midweek and heading into the latter part of the week. This is a fun little graphic I made earlier on today. Look at this, just a high of 5 on Wednesday in Tokyo. I call it a roller coaster because it kind of goes just up really fast, up to 13 there by your Thursday, and then eventually heading into Friday, we start to see it drop back down there to about 11 degrees. So that's really what we're looking at here. We're going to be seeing some more possibly snow in the forecast through the overnight hours, maybe, but for the most part, things are really clearing up, guys, and that's going to be the good news. By Thursday and the Friday, high pressure kind of starts to work its way back in from the west. Also, those temperatures warm back up with the sunnier skies, but it's still going to stay cloudy back here towards the west. And now I've been concentrating on Tokyo, but if you are in the southern Japanese islands, it's still going to be raining out here, and then eventually even back here towards the west there into southeastern portions of China, including those of you in Hong Kong over Taipei. You're going to be continuing to see the threat of some rainfall and even thunderstorms through Wednesday, and eventually over here towards Thursday and into Friday. We have another low that pushes through. That one's going to bring more rain and even threat of some more snow. I think this one's going to be a lot warmer than the one we've seen here because it's not coming in from the west, it's coming in from the south. That's going to be pushing across Tokyo by Friday and the Saturday. But this is the other big thing. This is just going to be a rain shower thunderstorm maker, maybe, for Japan and even towards the southern Japanese islands over here. But the big thing is, let's continue to scroll ahead. I gotta let this buffer up. Let's continue to scroll ahead here into Sunday, into Monday, and look at this other storm that starts to develop. This, I think, is going to be the potential for not only thunderstorms, but maybe some severe weather as we look ahead into next week. And let me explain, and it's not that often I get to talk about stuff like this here in Eastern Asia. I know right now we have the severe weather season really starting to kick in for the U.S. By the way, I get this from the U.S. Navy site. That's why it does have the unclassified thing on here. I really like their platform. Being ex-military, I used to use this a lot, and I kind of like still using it. But this is the FinMock GFS outlook here, and as we continue to look ahead, watch this. Our storm system develops right in here. Now, one of the big reasons, if you just look at the surface precipitation, this kind of just shows you what we're going to be looking at. Some rain, maybe some thunderstorms, but it also picks up on a lot of cold air aloft coming in, and we get that warm air coming in from the lower levels. Actually, let's put up on the screen here the 850 millibars, precipitation, and winds. Now, as we continue to scroll ahead with this, we have a low-level jet that starts to set up. Actually, in some of these areas here, 40 to 50 knots of winds. That's going to be flowing into the Kanto area as well. Kanto area also, especially in northern portions, you have a little bit of uplift with some of the mountains. So we have a low-level jet coming in. And then in the upper levels, remember this is all stuff that's unique to the northern hemisphere. If we're in the tropics, we don't like strong upper level winds. Remember last week I was talking about strong vertical wind shear kills off storms? Same time frame that I was just showing you a second ago with that low level jet. We also have a strong upper level jet coming through. Some jet streaks really setting up just off the coastline of Japan. But the other big thing is look right. Yeah, I have to turn all the way around so I can see myself on the screen, so I'm pointing at the right spot here. Look right in here. You get some difluence. That's those wind barbs kind of separated at the 300 millibar level. That indicates to us some good exhaust aloft, or basically strong difluence aloft. Here, even stronger. Now, this is directly over the Kanto area. Not to say this is going to follow through, but if the GFS model does follow through, what we have is a strong low-level jet. We have good difluence aloft, a jet streak setting up right over Japan, and a big confliction of air masses at the same time. You don't get that good setup all that often here in Japan. It actually is quite unique. Actually, it is quite unique. And what we're going to be looking at is still that threat of this continuing to occur. So maybe by Monday and the Tuesday, some strong thunderstorms flaring up across Japan. It's something I'm going to be continuing to watch over the next several days. Just wanted to dive into that. I know we've been talking about the tropics so much recently, so it is a little refreshing to kind of get into some northern hemisphere weather out here. But at the very least, just in short, I mean, this is what the setup looks like right now. We got one low moving through, and then that one moves off. Another one comes in behind it, and more rainfall all week and into the early part of next week. And that's not just for Japan, but even back here towards the west. Tropics, stand quiet, guys. Just, you'll be all right. A little bit of a wave out there, but I mean, come on. This is nothing compared to what we were seeing the last 2 weeks. I mean, I keep on talking about my sock, Bobby, as well, just prior to that. Stay safe out there, and as always, thanks for watching.